This is part 2 of my newest blog post, The Emotional Ripples of the Obedience Economy, Shared Superiority, Shared Struggle, and Shared Deference. How the online labor market replaced bad rituals with nothing at all, and why that hurts more than we can say. This is going to take up right where the next left off. This post is coming out tonight. It is currently being read by people from Radio Freakonomics, New York Times, Harvard, Washington Post, like a bunch of other fancy places. If you would like to read it, please sign up. Who this is for. If you've been job searching and feel like you're screaming into a void, this is for you. If you've led teams and felt like your hiring funnel is full of noise, this is for you too. And if you're a sociologist, journalist, or systems thinker and you've sensed something broken in the labor market but haven't had the words, this is the pattern you've been missing. And previously I referenced 3 groups of shared superiority, shared struggle, and shared deference that I see in the US and Western societies. The collapse of even that. Then came the digital hiring platforms. When they required a performance of deference in all public professional spaces that job seekers would have access to, they took away something truly profound. Safety of a survival strategy of shared kinship. No boss to gossip about, no office, no coworkers, just portals, silence, endless nothing. If you try to speak to your former acquaintances, you risk purgatory for longer. If you speak to your fellow members in purgatory, you risk purgatory for longer. Even the old half-broken rituals are gone. What replaced them? Not truth, not agency, just absence. It's not just disconnection anymore. It's dehumanized disconnection. The performance of community disappeared and nothing stepped in. Why it hurts so deeply? That's why the modern labor market feels so emotionally horrifying. Not just because it's failing, and it is, but because you fail in utter isolation, totally alone. No witnesses, no camaraderie, no stories, no signal, no repair. Just public shame over and over. A sense that those with shared deference or shared superiority will always exclude you unless you sit within social professional isolation. What is a question that we ask, after all, when meeting someone for the very first time, even out in public, not in the workspace? So, what do you do? How do you plan to go to family weddings or friend events when you really can't commit because you don't have the finances? And maybe you have the professional interview, maybe you could be. One contractor I knew got his dream chance to interview at Amazon. He took a day off to work to do it. He took one off for each of the subsequent 6 interviews and was cut without understanding why from the process after 6 interviews. That year he missed a family wedding and he had work. Imagine that process repeated for years without it. We weren't just obedient previously. We were together in our obedience. Now we're obedient alone. What were we building? At the job applicant perspective, I'm not just building a job review platform. I'm rebuilding that missing layer, the one that has big enough shoulders to hold truth, not repress it. Reality really isn't as horrifying as silence is. Who holds you when things aren't going right? If not your own community of professional peers, people who get it. Job seekers may not have work, but is there any reason they shouldn't have each other? Openly, unapologetically, publicly, supporting each other through the highs and lows of a system they didn't break, but are paying for every day. Tens of millions of Americans, at least, daily. Who benefits from the absence of this kind of professional community, proudly honored? And who profits from the professional isolation and psychological, emotional, and financial pain of, we know for sure, at least 27 million Americans struggling for years without even the survival bonds of human connection and support? I gotta say, looking around in the world, I really don't think it's good for democratic society to engage like this. What if feeling and witnessing an emotional experience is the end of the suffering that avoiding it has created? What if honoring the resilience and capacity of the human social emotional experience of a reality is about witnessing it, not rescuing it? Because the witnessing of it allows the people who have endured it to honor their life experience so they can rescue themselves. Mutual recognition, voice where silence used to be, agency instead of obedience. Because even if the old rituals are broken, at least they were rituals. We deserve more than their absence. If you want to go deeper, the post builds on a larger systems theory I've developed about digital hiring dysfunction. I call it the theory of online market gravity, a 5-part conceptual model of how labor platforms collapsed into noise and opacity. And I have some links there on the blog post. At the job applicant perspective, we're building the first real accountability layer for hiring, a kind of Yelp for job ads, where job seekers review the hiring process itself. Why? Because reputation should go both ways. Because trust isn't optional, especially when rent's on the line, food for your children. What the fuck? Because hiring shouldn't feel like gambling in the dark. At TJAP, we believe ghost jobs should be flagged. Real candidates deserve real closure. Employers deserve signal, not spam. The job market should serve its stakeholders, not have the stakeholders serve it. We're not just making hiring easier, we're making it honest. Final word. The labor market isn't just an economic space, it's a space of ritual, of validation, of belonging. And when those rituals collapse, people don't just lose jobs, they lose part of their identity. It doesn't need to be about villainy. It can be Maui, inadvertently taking the heart out of Tafiti, turning her into Taka, but you have to give it back. What I'm offering isn't just data. It's a way to stop mistaking obedience for value. Because we've been trained to survive systems that never asked who we were, only whether we complied. And it's time to ask better questions and build better systems. Thank you. I apologize for nothing. I am furious. And if you want to stop by the job applicant perspective, please do. And please like, follow, and share.